Let's move on to lights. All right, lights are a pretty important factor for me when I'm carrying a handgun, and I've got all this other gear selection all worked out. This light, again, for me, I know for Chris, is just as important to carrying the gun and the holster. I like to have a good, solid lighting system out there because probably most of the time, statistics speaking, incidents typically happen in low light situations. And I think it's just always good practice to have a flashlight on you anyways. So looking at all these different lights here, my general thing is I like to have a weapons mounted light. So when I'm working with a weapon, I pull it out, the light's already there for me, and it's working. I'm not having multiple things, because what if I have my kid in my hand and it's in a low light situation? That's what I like to have. So I like to choose a weapons mounted light.
They definitely got to be robust, and they definitely have to be durable, because generally most of these weapon lights hang right in front of the muzzle, and that's where that's where the blast comes from. So if you don't have a really good light, I can tell you that these lights are over $100. But I can tell you the hundreds of thousands of rounds that we run out of our handguns, or run those things on our rifles off to the side, they're extremely durable, and they're very, very bright. And Travis just picked up one of the newer models that Surefire's making, which is a X400, and it has a light laser combination, which is pretty unique. I actually run one of these on my rifle, but it is primarily designed as a handgun light.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, you got to find a holster that obviously fits it though, so think about that if you're going to choose this system. Pretty practical, especially for, this is my home defense light here. This is what I use, because if I leave town, my wife's got it, she can protect the family when I'm gone. So and it's a little bit easier for her, especially in the profession she has. She doesn't have the time to come out and be as professional a shooter, so if that laser helps her in that situation, then that's great. All right, when you're choosing a handheld light, I like to find something that's you know, a little bit compact. You know, these executive series lights from Surefire, the E2D and the E2D LED Defender series are awesome lights. I've carried these for a long time, especially since the new LED version came out. All right, so looking at that difference between the incandescent and the LED, you can see the more brighter colors of light. The light spectrums are a lot different here. It's going to hurt somebody's eyes a little bit more, and you can carry it and run it longer, and it's going to last longer. Like Chris said, you see what these go through on our carbines and our handguns, and that's what I want to try to find in even a handheld light. So typically, if I'm carrying a handgun and I've got a weapons mounted light on it, I'm going to have one of these in my pocket as well, because to me, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That's what I've always lived by, and even though these are awesome lights, I have seen them go down. Batteries go dead, just like you know, this one's getting a little low, so it's time to change it. But hey, maybe it got turned on in your pocket. That's something else to think about. If you're going to pick a light, make sure it's got a protected bezel. That's why I like the Executive series. So keep that in mind. This is the newest LX2 from Surefire. This thing is phenomenal. This is a light that I've always wanted. And the reason being is because it fits in that Executive series type light. It's got a reverse clip on it now. You can clip it from either direction, because I know that was a huge requirement, even for me, either running it downward or turning it around and run it the other way. The clip works both ways, so you don't have to reverse it or anything. The other great thing I like about this is power. There's all kinds of lights out there that have great powers, but this thing goes all the way to 200 lumens in this small package, and still gives you phenomenal runtime. So that's what I like to see there. The other thing that I like about this thing is it goes to low power first, then it goes to high power. Now, I'm very finicky about multi-function switches on lights. I've seen lights out there that you've got 4 or 5 different switches on, and you've got to be careful with those, because if you pull it out and you've got the wrong function on, that's a bad day. So the great thing I like about this, again, is it goes low power first, which is great for searching and daily use. I'm not burning my runtime down, but if I get under stress, what is typically going to happen? I'm going to press it all the way, and that's going to give me that full 200 lumens of power that I need in that critical stress situation. So awesome product, probably the best thing they could come out with, and it fits great on the primary weapon stuff too, like carbines, because again, you get that low to high that you want.
One of the other great things about the Surefire weapon lights is that they can also be used as tools, as strike tools for self-defense. I mean, a lot of them have some some bezel striking ability on them. So there's a little bit more that can come into play with those lights in a defensive role. Like Travis said earlier, with the LX2, one of the benefits is you start throwing that light into somebody's eyes, and you are really going to start having a positive effect over them and disorientate them just with the light. So even in a possible hand-to-hand confrontation, if you can get that light in their face, and you know, a lot of people play around with these things now. These things are getting so bright you can't even play with one another. In the old days, you used to do that. Hey, look here for a sec, boom, and hit them with the light. And now you'll start to mess somebody's eyes up with those.
Well, you know, here's a good example. Is my wife always used to carry mace, especially when I first met her. And I couldn't stand it because mace is probably one of the most improperly employed things out there. Some of them are getting better with the switches and the caps, but most of the women out there, they carry a little thing of mace. And it's got a leather case, it's got a snap, it's got a safety, and then you got to push a button. So for somebody to pull that out of their purse or out of their pocket and get all those functions done under stress is almost impossible. When they now, like my wife carries nothing but these types of lights, and so she pulls that thing out when she sees a bad problem about to start, and she can say, you know, get back. First of all, you got this lady now pointing a flashlight at you, which would probably be an automatic deterrent for most people. Like, you know, if you have a predator, you know, you have a predator presence, you're trying to pursue a female, or even a man, even in a law enforcement capacity, they're going to be like, why are they shining a light at me? Okay, and you've now turned from a soft target to a hard target just because of a light, and that's a great tool. And then on top of that, what typically is going to happen if that predator continues to pursue that female? She's got the light in the face. Typically people are going to be blinded, especially with this 200 lumen light. And when they do come in striking range, they're blind and they're getting striked. So that's a great tool feature, like Chris was saying.
You start getting into these more, say, custom lights. This is a M3T combat light. First of all, you can utilize it and actually squeeze this thing with a weapon system. Now, of course, trying to run a traditional Roger Surefire grip on here, your muzzle is going to be extremely close to the end of this thing. I look at this light for one really good application. First of all, it's got a light filter on there. The light filter can come off. This one just happens to be blue, so it looks like this. Once you flip it down, there's your white light right there. The amount of light that comes out of this thing is designed to penetrate and give you distance. So if I was at LEO at night, I would come up to the car using this, and I'd probably be able to put so much light into that car. Even if they had tinted windows, I would probably be able to start making out how many bodies might be in that car. And if you needed to, and even in law enforcement is generally still true today, if all of a sudden somebody got out of that car, not only do I have a light in my hand, but I can strike him as well, because this is classified as a weapon of opportunity. So hey, it's in your hand, utilize it accordingly until you can get to some of your other weapon systems. But that's where I would probably utilize this, is in a law enforcement capacity. You are going to get distance with this turbo head on there. And let's get real, anything that has the word turbo attached to it, you know it's going to be good. So obviously a little bit more mission specific light.
That good.
That good.
Let's talk about lasers real quick. Just hit on them briefly. Lasers to me aren't a super priority because the way I train, the way I've become proficient over the years, lasers actually slow me down now. So if you're a shooter that's been running a gun for a long time, think about that. But also, I do run lasers, like on my J-frame here. I do have a laser on it. Well, say I'm in an unorthodox position. Maybe I'm laying in kind of a defensive position around my bed, and I could get the weapon system up and be able to have less exposure, and that's a great tool for that application there. Also, it's a great training application as well. A lot of great lasers coming out for training. This particular laser, I can put on a light switch on the wall, and I can sit there and do shooting and moving drills back and forth, and that's going to show how my core fundamentals are working. So it's also a great training tool as well. But great for home defense. I keep a laser, like I said, in home defense on my bedstand, and works great for me, and it works great for my family.
In regards to one other thing, a lot of law enforcement officers that end up carrying shields, you can never really get a good sight picture. Yeah, so some guys will run them out on shield guns, is usually where you'll find them in the LEO community. Aside from that, yeah, I think I shoot slower with I know I shoot slower with a laser watching a damn thing jump than shooting iron. So very, very mission specific.